Hello friends, I'm Rob of Digital Wastrel. This is Tempest of War, of Battle Report, of Warhammer, of video of coming up now. Welcome to this Tempest of War Battle Report. We're playing Crimson Fists versus Death Guard and it's 35 power level. Hey Rob, what's Tempest of War? Well Rob, thanks for asking. In Tempest of War, you draw cards which tell you your primary mission, your deployment map, and also a twist, which gives a kind of unique, fun, special rule to shake things up during the match. The primary mission in this game was Burn and Raze. So you gain victory points for capturing objectives, you gain more victory points for capturing more objectives, and also your units can perform the Raze objective action, which basically means you can destroy an objective to prevent the enemy from getting it. The deployment card that we drew was Spearhead Assault, and this is kind of a diagonal one, which is always a pain in the ass to measure out, but hey, you know. The mission rule card was Scrambler Fields. Basically, this prevented any deep strike or reserve units from coming in range of an objective. During the game, each player will draw up to 3 secondary objective cards. They will keep them secret, and when they're able to score them, they will play them and gain the victory points. Now, I'm not going to track each individual card that both players were holding because it's a lot of work, but I will tell you when they score them. The Crimson Fists were led by Captain Damascus, and they consisted of a squad of intercessors, a squad of heavy intercessors, a squad of eradicators, and a big old Redemptor Dreadnought. Damascus has the warlord trait Refuse to Die, which means when he goes down, he rolls a dice, and on a 4-up he gets up again with D3 wounds remaining. Now, he has taken this in most of his previous games, and he usually gets back up. He also has the Crimson Fist relic Fist of Vengeance, which is a big old power fist. Extra big, extra fisty. The Death Guard were led by the Terminator Sorcerer Leprous, along with a team of Plague Marines, a team of Poxwalkers, 2 Chaos Spawn, a Mephitic Blight Hauler, and a Plague Burst Crawler. Leprous had the Warlord trait Arch Contaminator, which is a reroll wounds for plague weapons aura. He also had the relic Plague Skull of Glothophilia. Plague Skull of Glothophilia. Plague Skull of Glothila. His relic was this cool skull bomb thing. There were 4 objectives, and the Marines and Death Guard are deployed. The Eradicators were deployed in reserve, so they will be coming on turn 2, where they can hopefully ambush something and kill it with those horrible melter guns that they've got. Marines take first turn. Damascus, the heavy intercessors, and the Dreadnought move up to capture the center objective and maneuver around the large rock in the center of the battlefield. The intercessors stay back holding objective 2. Shooting phase, and the Marines open fire with everything they've got on the Death Guard. The Dreadnought's going in hot, and it unleashes its full firepower on the Plague Marines, gunning 2 of them down. Hot is the operative word though, as the overheating plasma cannon causes a wound to itself. Not slowing down for 1 instant, the Dreadnought's momentum carries it straight through and it charges the Plague Marines. And they are stomped into foul-smelling paste by the furious Adamantite warrior. The Dreadnought shows no desire to slow down, and it consolidates into contact with the Plague Burst launcher. During the turn, the Marines are able to score the secondary objective behind enemy lines, finishing their turn with 0 victory points for their primary, but 2 victory points for their secondaries. It's an aggressive push by the Marines, but did they overextend themselves? Death Guard turn 1, and the Plague Burst Crawler falls back out of combat with the Dreadnought. The Sorcerer moves in to assist, and the Spawn head up the flanks. Meanwhile, on the other side of the battlefield, the Poxwalkers slowly move up to their objective. Leprous produces his relic, which is the Plague Skull of Glothila. It's a bomb, and he throws it at the Dread, causing a massive 6 mortal wounds. Psychic phase, and Leprous throws a smite at the Dread, putting 1 more wound on it. Shooting turn, and Leprous unleashes his melter gun into the Dreadnought, taking it down to 1 wound. All of the shots from the Death Guard miss or fail to wound. Leprous is determined to take down that Dreadnought and moves in to engage it in close combat. He swings his putrescent plague force axe, or just regular force axe, and the Dreadnought goes down. Sadly, there is no explosion. End of the turn, and the Death Guard have managed to destroy the rampaging Dreadnought, which is great, but they are unable to score any secondaries and end the turn on 0 victory points. Marines turn 2, and they are able to score the secondary objective called Defend Stronghold, as well as holding 2 primary objectives. The Crimson Fists identify 3 main threats from the Death Guard side: the Chaos Sorcerer Leprous, the Plague Burst Crawler, and those spawn heading up the flank. If they can neutralise these 3 threats, they will be in a great position. The Eradicators come on from reserve in a position to get a shot at the Plague Burst Crawler, hoping to be able to cripple the Death Guard's armour. Captain Damascus moves up and tries to position himself for a charge on Leprous. The heavies continue to hold the centre objective, but shuffle forwards a little bit to get some shots into the Chaos Spawn. Alright, shooting phase, and it's time for the Crimson Fists to make good on their plans. First up, the heavy intercessors unload all of their guns into the Chaos Spawn, but they fail to kill any of the horrific beasts. On the other side of the battlefield, the Eradicators unleash into the Plague Burst Crawler, but they are only able to do 3 wounds to it. 2 out of 3 gambles that the Crimson Fists made did not pay off, so it's all down to Captain Damascus. And what a beast! He makes a 10-inch charge into the Sorcerer. I don't know anything about wrestling, but I assume there's some kind of wrestling move where you jump off a rock and punch your opponent in the head with a power fist. And that's exactly what Damascus has done. Damascus proves why he is worthy of his fearsome reputation and puts 15 wounds into Leprous, completely annihilating the Chaos Sorcerer. The Marines managed to score no retreat, no surrender, and no prisoners as secondary objectives. They are also still in command of 2 primary objectives, giving them a total of 22 victory points. What a lead! Death Guard turn 2, and they start the turn in control of the top objective, which is being dripped on by the Poxwalkers. The spawn veer off and head towards the heavy intercessors. The Plague Burst Crawler retaliates against the Eradicators and proves much better at long-range gunfights than they do, killing 1, while the other 2 manage to survive hits by the entropy cannons with some jammy saves of 6s. The Chaos Spawn charge into the heavies, only doing 2 wounds. The heavy intercessors manage to take down a spawn and almost kill the second. Damascus swings and does 6 damage to the Blight Hauler. The Death Guard were unable to score any of their secondaries and end the turn with 5 victory points from their primary and nothing for secondary. Space Marine turn 3, and the Crimson Fists are still holding those 2 objectives. The remaining 2 Eradicators move forwards, close range being a much better fit for their melter weapons, but only doing 2 wounds this time. They are not very good. The Marines managed to score the Assassination secondary objective, and they also score the Extend Battle Lines secondary. Start of Death Guard turn 3, and they are still in control of that 1 objective at the top of the map. It shoots the Eradicators and it kills 1 with the Entropy Cannon, and then the last one dies using the Mortar Shot. The Eradicators are down. Close combat phase, and Captain Damascus finally loses his footing, and the Mephitic Blight Launcher manages to shovel him into its mouth. No, he's gone. He's in that Blight Launcher and he's not getting up again. End of the turn, the Death Guard managed to score Assassination and Overwhelming Firepower for their secondaries, so they end with a total of 20. They are starting to catch up. Marines turn 4, and the Intercessors at the back start the Raising the Banners action. The heavy intercessors move up, looking to avenge Damascus and unload their shots into the Mephitic Blight Hauler, putting a wound on it, so it's only got 2 wounds left. Hoping to repeat their success against the spawn, the heavy intercessors charge into the Mephitic Blight Hauler, but they're only able to do 1 wound to it. It swings back but is unable to wound the Marines, still full from its Captain Damascus lunge. And at the end of Marines turn 4, they have a total of 52 big old victory points. The Plague Burst launcher rumbles round the corner, coming into view and unleashing its firepower on them. It manages to kill 3 of the Marines, and 1 runs away like a big old coward. The Death Guard managed to score no secondary objectives again, giving them 25 total. Math. On to turn 5, and the Plague Burst launcher sits itself on that centre objective. It splits fire, taking down the final intercessor and also knocking over 1 heavy intercessor. Meanwhile, on the far objective, the Poxwalkers continue to desecrate and just have a great old party. The battle is finished, but they party on. The game ends with Marines having scored a total of 57 victory points and the Death Guard having a total of 35. Victory for the Crimson Fists, but at what cost? Their captain is down and they've taken an awful lot of casualties. And there you go, victory for the Space Marines. Tempest of War is a really good way to add a little bit of spice to your Warhammer 40,000 games if you're getting tired of playing the same missions over and over. Generally, I think it's good fun and excellent for casual players. One thing to watch out for is secondary missions can make or break the game. If your enemy draws many secondary objectives that they are able to complete, and you draw a bunch of secondary objectives that are not so easy to complete, then the game can kind of go that way. So if you're happy with a bit of random chance in your games, give Tempest of War a go. If you're going to get frustrated by random chance messing you around, then maybe it's not for you. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this battle report. I'm going to be doing more battle reports in the future, and in fact I've got a Crusade campaign starting up that I will be documenting. So if you like narrative focused, weird rules and small nicely painted armies, this is the place to get it. So yeah, see you next time, thanks for watching, and bye!